Ibn Taymiyyah he dies in Damascus, in jail in 1328. And he has been misused during the 20th century by some of the most extremist Islamists. He is quoted, for example, in the 9/11 Commission official report as being the ancestor, the spiritual ancestor of Osama bin Laden. So to work about him is also to go a little bit into a minefield. But then when you read him, you realize that those who have misused him for terrorist purposes only read texts that he wrote to call for the resistance of Syria against the invasion of the Mongols at the end of the 13th century. But they start using those texts that were texts of national resistance against an invader. They use those texts to call for the killing of unjust Muslim rulers. And so if you go to other texts written by Ibn Taymiyyah, you realize that he was the most loyal subject of the Mamluk sultans under whose authority he was living, and who were not better than the Mongols. And you realize that he is caricatured, he is reduced to just a few pages that he wrote against an enemy. And when you look at other texts, which is quite easy because you can access them on internet or on CD-ROMs, or most of his writings have been published, you realize that you have there somebody who is at the same time probably the greatest in later Muslim theologian, and somebody who has a very, very moderate approach to the religion. He is a mufti, which means a religious scholar who has to give opinions about everything, every aspect of the religion, every problem arising in society. And so he is, because of his role in society, he is obliged to develop a very supple understanding of the religion. And he is a pragmatist. You could even say that he is a relativist in some way, because what is good in those circumstances becomes bad in other circumstances. And religion has got to be understood in a way that will lead to the most efficient service to mankind. Injustice has to be fought, yes. But that's what you read in the Gospels as well, when you remember what happened to the traders of the temple. And injustice, of course, is not acceptable, no more by Muslims than by Christians, and vice versa, or other religions. But he says that there are cases where we have to be able to accept a lesser evil in order to attack a greater evil. And he says, for example, intelligence is not doesn't consist in being able to distinguish good from bad. Intelligence consists in being able to see the best of two goods and the worst of two evils. Wow. And so we have somebody who is far more moderate, far more intelligent, far more acquaintance with the everyday life of the society in which he lives, what people say about him usually.
Well, then I want to thank you again on behalf of all the people that have benefited from your resurrection of the writing strength of Ibn Taymiyyah, so that he would be better understood in his greatness and not be disparaged for some occasional writing.
Somebody like Ibn Taymiyyah should be rediscovered, because if he is misused by people we cannot agree with, how do we deal with this problem? You can, if we want to use a metaphor, you can say that terrorism is a cancer. I don't consider that the antidote to cancer is diabetes. and some forms
Yeah.
of Islamic hyper-spirituality that we see developing around are for me some kind of spiritual diabetes. It is not to get reformed, as some people say, oh, Muslims should go through some kind of reformation. No, it is to rediscover in its rich spectrum of potentialities, intellectual, spiritual potentialities, the great tradition of Islam.
Thank you, Doctor, and I want you to know that the Catholic Church is so grateful for the dialogue that we have been able to maintain with Islam, especially through people like the Islamic Cultural Center at Fresno. And thank you for coming here from Connecticut to share with us your insights, your study, and your